Mertech.com with your daily news update. Here we are on August the 9th in the year of our Lord 2025, and I've got, as usual, a lot of great information for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Mertech on Rumble. Take us over here to my Rumble page, and this is the video you're watching right now. It says upcoming, but as you know, you're actually watching it. Episode 1649. Let me click on this and pause it. So see, there it is. That's the live stream right there. Let me close out the live chat and come down here and click the show more button to expand out that description box. And in the description box, we have information from ACLJ Sekulow, Doug in Exile, Black Conservative Perspective, and Devory Darkins. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give. Devory 2011 just started following my channel. Debbie BS reposted my episode 1643. Thank you, Debbie BS. And Debbie BS reposted my episode 1648. And folks, if you have an account with Rumble, you can repost these videos. You can repost anybody's videos. Right up here underneath the video, if you scroll down here, right there is repost. You can click on that and put a little description in there. You need at least 3 characters. And then click the repost, and it'll actually go to your account and repost this video on your account. Who knows, you might get some people following you or whatever, but that's an opportunity for you to do that. Okay, moving on here. Debbie BS commented on my episode 1643. Debbie BS and Uncloudy commented on my episode 1648. Debbie BS commented on my extra 429B and extra 429C and extra 431A. So thank you very much for your comments. I really enjoy reading them, and I really appreciate the support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Here we go. Boom. Just that easy. Just that easy. And again, I have one of those thumbs up things right down here below the video. If you scroll down here and click on this, it'll turn green, and oh, it makes you feel so good down deep inside. Alrighty, but speaking of comments, I have a comment of the day from Debbie BS. Let me go ahead and click on that. And she says, thank you. You do put together a nice package for us. Well, thank you, Debbie BS. I appreciate that. That was on episode 1642. Right here. Thank you. You do put together a nice package for us. All right, let's jump back here. And also, Uncloudy gave me a comment on episode 1648. Right here. Always great and informative news, Mertech, with thumbs up. Thank you very much, Uncloudy. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get into this. ACLJ Sekulow breaking. Letitia James faces DOJ grand jury. You've probably heard about this, but let's get the lowdown from American Center for Law and Justice.
The breaking news story today, which is that it looks like Letitia James is under investigation, and they'll be opening a grand jury investigation against Letitia James.
That's right. So we talked a while back about Letitia James having some issues with a mortgage issue where there was claiming something was her primary residence, getting favorable loan terms when that was out of the state where she was the attorney general. But this isn't related to that investigation where there was a referral to the FBI. This is the Department of Justice that has opened a grand jury investigation into how she handled that civil fraud case that she brought against President Trump during the last election cycle. Remember, this is the one that had Ed, the judge that had the funny smile for the camera. He allowed the cameras to come in at the beginning and ended up giving, after they got a conviction against President Trump, a fine of nearly $500 million.
Roughly $500 million.
So now what they're looking at is whether or not she violated the civil rights of President Trump with her investigation. This stems back from all the statements she made while running for the Attorney General of New York, where she said, I'm going to get him. I'm going to go after him. I'm going to be his worst nightmare, things of that nature. And then bringing this civil fraud case where a lot of it was whether or not the valuation of Mar-a-Lago when it was being used as collateral to secure business loans was the right amount. And then they threw a $500 million fine on President Trump. But what it appears this is going to be under is an investigation of whether Letitia James violated 18 U.S.C. 242, which is a deprivation of rights under the color of law. And this statute is when anyone in a law enforcement position, whether it be an attorney general, whether it be police, it's a very broad statute as far as who this could apply to, uses their position to deprive someone of their constitutional rights. So what we know is they've already subpoenaed the office of Letitia James. That's being widely reported now. The New York Times even had an article out about it. So it must be true at that point. But what we will see is how far this will go in trying to correct the wrongs of the lawfare of the left.
Now, of course, Trump, people that are against this administration are saying, look, this is using, including the lawyers of Letitia James, saying essentially this is playing not only politics, but this is playing personal with politics, with your power.
Right. So there's kind of a catch-22 for the administration, if you think about this, is that what the left did to President Trump is they weaponized the government and law enforcement against him. They used lawfare against him to try to stop him from being elected president of the United States. And that stems way back even to the Russia probe, where they were trying to weaponize the government and law enforcement against the president-elect and then president of the United States. So the catch-22, though, is do you let all those wrongs slide and just be like, we're not going to go after it, we won, we move on? Or do you hold people accountable for misusing the system? But when you do that, that gives the opportunity for the left to cry foul and say, look, he's weaponizing, he's going after people that went after him. So it puts you in this odd situation when in reality, what they did was wrong. They used the law enforcement agencies, the intelligence agencies, elected state officials, went after President Trump because he was President Trump. And they tried to find anything they could to go after him. So Letitia James was a part of this. Alvin Bragg out of Manhattan was a part of this. All of these people, you go down to Fani Willis in Georgia, they all tried to find their own way to get him. And in this case, for the Attorney General of New York, she went and did a civil fraud case against the president's businesses and got into details saying he overvalued properties, which gave him, loans that were more favorable than he would have gotten if they were undervalued or different valued. And the banks didn't complain.
Right. The bank said he never defaulted, never had an issue, never had a problem. But
and
they said,
continued to do business with it.
So even if that was true, that was the case, it was essentially a victimless crime. If you could say, if it wasn't even a crime at all, I don't believe it is, because some of the numbers they were throwing out, I remember, were ridiculously low. But she's been going after him. This has been a name that's been in this since what, 2018? I mean, there's been a number of years at this point. It's exhausting.
Well, we have a supercut of all the time she said that she wanted to go after President Trump. This is when she's running for office in New York. And so we should play that to remind people that she promised she was going to go after him before she had any evidence of that, because she was not the Attorney General of New York. She gets elected and then does exactly what she says she was going to do. So let's run that bite 5 right now.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. I believe that the president of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
Will you sue him for us?
We're going to definitely do. We're going to be a real pain in the He's going to know my name personally.
That man in the White House who can't go a day without threatening our fundamental rights.
Yes, we need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses, We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy. It's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, and then going home.
So she had made up her mind before she was even in that position of authority.
Exhausted for a Friday, guys.
That she was going to find out where he's laundered money. She's already convicted him in her mind before having the resources to follow that down. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy. Has already convicted him in her mind before even being in office. And the list goes on. So why is that important? Well, we know that was lawfare. She got a position and used that position of authority to go after the sitting president of the United States and then the former president of the United States, and finding a way finally to take him to court in a very favorable jurisdiction and getting that huge historic judgment against him. And that was a part of a puzzle, a mosaic, if you will, across the country of elected officials doing very similar things, trying to bring him down. Now, where this the investigation could follow, according to these sources, is that they're investigating whether or not there's a violation of what appears to be 18 U.S.C. 242, which is deprivation of rights under color of law, which says whoever under color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or to different punishments, pains, or penalties on account of such person being an alien or by reason to his color, race, than are prescribed for the punishments of these crimes, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 1 year or both. So they are looking at this, and this is a statute that is used against law enforcement if there is suspected racial bias or something on a low level, all the way up to elected officials in these positions of power if they're abusing their office.
There's not limits on them, but that's not particularly what they've been used for.
Well, it has been used in a broad way. Yeah. But one, it hasn't been used this way because we've also never seen an attorney general of the United States go after a former president in the way that she did. Now, as the other side says, oh, look, he's weaponizing it, going after his enemies. I think the Department of Justice trying to seek accountability and see if these things went too far. We know they did. It was lawfare. And we've said we need that to stop in this country. The only way you're going to stop it is by hunting this down and seeing if you can bring charges into the conviction. This is the second investigation of Letitia James. There is that other investigation the FBI is conducting that came from a criminal referral from a different branch of government, where it appears that she, you know how they love to say no one's above the law. They always seem to say that about their political enemies, but then are doing things that make you think they think they're above the law, such as getting favorable loan terms.
They are the law.
By claiming a primary residence out of the state that she is the sitting attorney general for, and doing multiple things when it comes to lying on applications. At one point, and this one would be outside the statute of limitations, the mortgage regulator said that she even claimed her father was her husband on one mortgage back in the 80s to get more favorable terms. The very thing that she went after President Trump for, which was saying you falsified documents to get better loan terms, is exactly what she's now being investigated for doing herself by buying a house in Norfolk, Virginia, saying that was her primary residence when she was the attorney general, which by law, she's either violating New York law by not being able to be attorney general because you have to be a resident there, or violating mortgage law by lying on her mortgage application to get a more favorable term. Yeah. Whenever they point the finger and say, you're doing this, 9 times out of 10, it seems like they're doing the exact same thing.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, and I'm sorry I kind of blanked out on you. I had my microphone muted, but that was when she was talking about Trump being an illegitimate president and how that would tend to be in the category of election denying, wouldn't it? But then, oh no, she's a Democrat. And of course, Democrats, just as they were saying, never do anything that they accuse others of doing. That's called projection, folks, and they do that all the freaking time. Oh, it's very frustrating. But let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. I am following the channel. I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And Doug in Exile. Okay, breaking, Pam Bondi just launched Letitia James investigation. I know it's kind of the same information, but Doug's going to give you a little bit better take on it, or a little bit different take on it than what you got with ACLJ. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this.
That deprivation of rights.
Let me get
charge.
this back to the beginning for you.
Tish James is cooked. Yeah, it's about time someone went after her, and Pam Bondi's going after her. All the people that said Pam Bondi was a traitor and isn't doing enough are liars. We've had her back for a while. No, I get it. There's division. Everyone's frustrated that no one's going to jail. Guys, it takes time. Trump's only been in office 6 months. They don't suddenly start rounding people up like monkeys and throwing them in prison. That's not how reality works. I know that's how online reality makes you think it works. It's not what happens. It takes a long time. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. We're going to go through this together. This is the good news. These are the happy times, guys. You should be celebrating, jumping up and down, screaming like orangutans. Ah, ah, woohoo, ah. These are the good times. Here's Letitia James getting slammed.
Some breaking news sources are telling us that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office are under investigation by the Department of Justice in relation to her case against President Trump. Justice correspondent David Spunt is in Washington. What do you know, David?
Well, hi, Dana. Two well-placed sources familiar with the probe tell Fox News that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office is under investigation by the DOJ here in Washington. We're told that Attorney General Pam Bondi signed off on the probe. Subpoenas were sent to James's office, and there is a grand jury investigation underway in the New York State capital of Albany.
The New York State capital of Albany, we're going to get into that on why that alone is probably the biggest danger to stopping this whole thing. The grand jury being drawn in Albany. But Pam Bondi, they sent letters, this subpoenas. It could include emails. Letitia James will have to comply. So at the very least, they could shake more information out.
The specific investigation, my colleague Jake Gibson, Ashley Oliver, and myself are being told involves deprivation of rights, which in plain language means someone in a position of legal authority violating someone else's constitutional or legal rights.
I think that's a kind of a vague charge, but we're going to go into that deprivation of rights charge together in a minute also. I'm going to explain everything. My show is for dumb people. And when I say dumb people, I mean me. I need to be educated on this. What's a grand jury? How do they pick them? What's deprivation of rights? What's the voting percentages of Republicans versus Democrats in Albany, where they'll be drawing this grand jury from to see if they're even going to take the next step? I'm educating myself, and I'll break it all down for you. It is my joy to learn with you. I don't like all the lingo talk. I like breaking it down and finding out what it all means. I hope you've subscribed, because we'll keep getting smarter together.
The sources tell Fox News the DOJ is going after James because she took then former President Donald Trump to court, quote, simply because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him.
Did she only take him to court because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him? I think there's a lot of proof on that. Look at this.
It's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end.
Okay, that's what she ran on. The days of Donald Trump are coming to an end. Is there proof that she just went after Donald Trump because she didn't like him?
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
But yeah, there's certainly evidence that she went after him just because she didn't like him. I agree.
DOJ, led by Bondi, believes she violated his First Amendment rights dealing with free speech. James has said before she believed Trump inflated his net worth to get good deals on loans from lenders and other financial benefits. Ms. James won in a court judgment of over $450 million against the Trump organization. Trump is appealing and it's pending. The entire scope of the grand jury probe in Albany, Dana, is unclear. Grand juries are secretive, but we've learned from these well-placed sources it stems from a recent strike force set up inside the Justice Department to investigate an alleged plot to tie Trump to Russia in 2016. Sources say that strike force has expanded to other topics.
Yeah, let's get to the other topics, guys. Now you're going to see it all blow up. And by the way, Pam Bondi is utterly understaffed. I don't have the quote here, but this is why I'm against the Epstein investigation, because she has said she's understaffed. They came understaffed. And you got to remember, they had all of the positions that could be filled in the Department of Justice were filled by Biden appointments. Merrick Garland bragged about making 40% of the entire Justice Department's appointments under Joe Biden. You have to wipe all those people out. Then go hire, like Janine Pirro said, they need like 10,000 people in her department. The FBI is understaffed. ICE is understaffed. So all of them are understaffed. You have limited resources. The resources are not unlimited, okay? And so you don't just go and pile some other job. I agree it's important. Get the child predators, get them. But guys, that's not going to save the country. If you don't fix your government, the FBI, the Department of Justice, go after Letitia James, lawfare, judges, you will only have a few years to go and get those child predators, and then you're back to being investigated, your free speech taken away, all of the borders open back up again. You will go to prison, okay? It's time to take Epstein, put it on the back shelf. You have to prioritize as a tactic. They only have so many resources. They pulled Dan Bongino and Kash Patel obviously off of Epstein when they said there's nothing there. They obviously had other stuff to do. And what's Bongino doing? They're taking hundreds and hundreds of active murderers and child predators today off the streets, not child predators from 20 years ago. Today, we need Pam Bondi on this today. And yes, other topics are coming. They haven't even hit J6 yet. The fake J6 allegations against the Proud Boys and all those guys, that's coming too. They're going to open it up and say all of that Adam Schiff, Liz Cheney, the special prosecutors, the denial of rights, denial of lawyers to those victims, and constructing that whole case to try and nail Trump on an insurrection. That's coming too. That's what I mean by other topics.
Now to recap. The Justice Department has initiated grand jury proceedings in Albany, New York, against the Empire State Attorney General Letitia James. But remember, this is important. A grand jury simply decides if there's enough evidence to indict. To be clear, we are told this is very early in the process, and no one, as I speak to you right now, is facing any charges at this time. Fox News reached out to Attorney General James's office multiple times, but we've yet to hear back.
So the grand jury is just to find out if there's enough evidence. That's where this whole thing could stop. They'll take another route. Don't worry, we're going to get her. But this route may not be the route to get her because of that grand jury. I'll show you why in just a minute. Let me hit some more headlines here real quick with our guy, Mike Davis, who I believe is behind this whole thing, advising the Trump administration behind the scenes. He's the one that's had his finger on this thing from the beginning. Mike Davis, dear Big Tish James, you were the hunter. Now you are the hunted. I'm going to real quick show a little bit of time on this just because Fani Willis goes in the same other topics category before we get back to Tish James. Project Veritas. Texts, notes, and emails expose Fulton County DA Fani Willis and Bill Barr, Republican Bill Barr, work together on the RICO case targeting real Donald Trump. Bill Barr.
You know, I never trusted Bill Barr from the very beginning. I didn't. I mean, he talked big in the beginning, but I didn't trust him. There was just something about him. Number one, he was a Bush appointee. I voted for Bush, but then again, who was the alternative? John Kerry? That just wasn't a choice. Okay, so as I said, I wasn't a fan of Bush. He was appointed by Bush, so I just didn't trust him.
If this allegation is true, is an absolute 100% traitor to Donald Trump. He went and got into bed with Tish James, not literally to my knowledge, but figuratively. That's another huge scandal blowing up. Here's more from Mike Davis. Dear Lawfare Democrats, in your quest to destroy Donald Trump, you laughed at his legal team. Then they kicked your asses, including a monumental presidential immunity victory at the Supreme Court. Now President Trump is back in the White House, and his top legal team members are now serving as the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. That's Attorney General Todd Blanche, Solicitor General of the United States, John Sauer, and United States Circuit Judge Emil Bove, Third Circuit. Still laughing? Lawyer up, MFers. Justice is coming. Nobody's above the law. This is Todd Blanche with a picture of he being sworn in with Emil Bove holding the Bible. What difference a year makes as we celebrate Judge Emil Bove's confirmation to the Third Circuit. I am reminded that just a few months ago, he held the Bible as I swore in Solicitor General D. John Sauer. The three of us proudly served together representing President Trump, grateful to the president and AG Pam Bondi for making great things happen at the DOJ as we work to make America safe again. Yes, they're giving credit to Pam Bondi because the people that talked her down were lying to you, and I've been telling you the truth all along. Sorry, guys, that's the truth. These are the three guys that cleared Trump of an insurrection. They went before the federal DC courts, and now they're all put in Trump's administration. They're all in Washington, D.C. Attorney General's positions. This is a massive win beyond my imagination. Trump is winning in ways we couldn't even imagine, guys. Breaking: the DOJ has opened a jury investigation into Letitia James tied to the Trump civil case. James's office received subpoenas for documents, emails this week, including for information related to her civil fraud lawsuit against Trump. Wait, here's more from Mila Joy. Either Letitia James A. lied on mortgage application, that's fraud, and what she went to Trump over, or she lives in Virginia and cannot legally be the New York Attorney General. Unlike Trump, there's actual proof of her guilt. Moving on. This goes into that Albany, New York thing. I went to Grok to get a little help on this. What is the political makeup of Albany, New York? This is where the grand jury is going to be pulled from, guys. This is where this whole thing, I believe, could get its plug pulled. So they're going to go out into Albany, New York, right? And they're going to start putting together a grand jury, a top secret grand jury. Remember, they're looking to see if there's enough evidence to charge Letitia James. If this grand jury says there's not enough evidence, it ends. Okay. They can still go after her on other grounds or doing something else, but this particular strand ends. And this is where I think is a big problem. Albany, New York, the state capital, has a strongly Democrat political makeup, with the city and surrounding Albany County consistently leaning left in elections, voter registration, and government composition. As of February 2025, Albany County's voter enrollment shows a significant Democrat advantage, with 101,000 active registered Democrats compared to just 37,000 Republicans. So we're about 1/3 of that jury pool they'll be pulling from. So this is my own math. No one else is talking about this. How can I be so dumb and crack this? Alongside smaller numbers of other parties, such as 7,000 in the Working Families Party, throw your vote away, good job. 3,900 independents, way to throw your vote away. And 1,164 conservatives, yeah, also throw your vote away. Plus substantial unaffiliated blank voters contributing to a total active registration of around 200,000 people. In the 2020 presidential election, Albany County voted 64% Democrat and 33% Republican. Those are the numbers, gang. Those are the numbers of your jury pool. And I don't know if they have to get a unanimous to do it or just a mere majority on it. If it's a 12-person pool, I don't know the exact numbers. We need 7 Republicans because I don't believe anyone is unbiased anymore. I just want to know how many liberals versus conservatives are on the jury, and I'll tell you if there's going to be justice. And
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And, you know, he's absolutely right. Seems like the Democrats have no morals. They just have no morals. If a Democrat does something, it's okay with another Democrat, no matter how horrible it may be. If you think I'm wrong here, why do they continue to let people out of a jail that go out and assault people, commit battery, rape people, murder people, and they just let them? They don't even hold them for trial. No cash bail in these Democrat cities. That's okay. That's okay. Just let them out on the street. You know, I've had reports after report after report of illegal aliens. Number one, they're illegal for being in this country without due process, going out and committing a crime, being released out of prison, and then they cause the death of someone else. But you know what? They continue to do it. Amazing, isn't it? Okay, let me show you that this video does come from Doug in Exile. I am subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, I want to share some other information with you here.
Don't eat breakfast until you learn about caloric bypass. Your breakfast is setting you up for the entire day to either gain weight or lose it.
The term breakfast literally means to break your fast that you started the night before.
About 4 hours after you eat dinner, your body switches from the nutrients we get from food to the stored glycogen we have in our bodies.
Once glycogen stores are depleted, typically after 8 to 12 hours of fasting, the body shifts to burning fat for energy.
Fatty acids are released from fat stores where they are converted into ketone bodies through a process called ketogenesis.
Then when you eat breakfast in the morning, the body starts the cycle again. This is where the caloric bypass comes into play.
Dr. Gundry, a heart surgeon in California, learned that if you break your nightly fast with something called MCTs, or medium-chain triglycerides,
you can actually keep burning fat throughout the day and use it for energy. But there are specific types of foods that contain these MCTs.
Using this breakfast breakthrough, he was able to lose 70 pounds just through diet, and he did this in his 60s.
Scan the QR code or click the link in chat to watch Dr. Gundry's eye-opening presentation. It could change the way you think about fruit forever.
This is also National Purple Heart Day, and we're here to honor and celebrate the unyielding patriotism and grit and devotion to America's Purple Heart veterans is great emotion and great love. The Purple Heart dates back to August 7th, 1782. That's a long time, when General George Washington awarded a heart-shaped purple cloth to 3 soldiers for outstanding gallantry and service in battle. This afternoon, we're joined by dozens of Purple Heart recipients and their families, and just as General Washington did 243 years ago, today we give our everlasting thanks to you and your unbelievable families. We want to thank you very much for being here. It's my great honor.
Okay, so just a few things here. Number one, President Trump should get a lot of respect for doing this. Why? Because he doesn't have to do things like this, which brings me to point number two. Under the Biden administration, they never had a Purple Heart event in this way at the White House. Yes, they did acknowledge holidays affiliated with veterans. Yes, they did have a medal honor ceremony, but nothing like this. So good on the president for hosting something like this. And these people should be recognized. Now, I have a couple more thoughts about this, but let's hear more from the president.
Every Purple Heart tells a story of courage, sacrifice, and purpose It speaks of a price paid for the soldier beside you, the country behind you, and the generations of Americans yet to come. And we have some great generations to follow. It's going to happen. Those who wear this medal ran into bullets, faced ferocious bombs, and shed their blood on the field of battle. We will never forget what they did. We will always use them as an example of bravery and courage and strength. And we will also always think, when we look at them, of our great American flag.
Okay, so here's a fun fact, and I learned this after 13 years of service. Did you know that the Medal of Honor is ranked number 1 as far as the highest award you could receive? Now, the reason why I'm putting them in the same sentence is for this reason alone. You cannot receive those 2 awards based on performance. That's not why you get them. You get them because more than likely you were killed in action, so your family's probably receiving them after the fact, or you were seriously injured and you did something heroic, okay? Now, the awards between the Medal of Honor and Purple Heart, in my own opinion, in my experience, are awards that are based on performance and politics. Sometimes you'll hear someone getting a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, and that's not to take anything away from them. But at the same time, if you serve in the military, you know those awards people can get, and they really have no business getting them. You can't pull that off with a Purple Heart or Medal of Honor. So the bottom line is the people that showed up at the White House today definitely deserve the recognition. If you ever come across someone who's received the Purple Heart, they definitely deserve your recognition. And that's all I really have to say about that.
100 different veterans being honored today on National Purple Heart Day. Tell us about what we should expect to see from the White House.
Well, you can't beat the gathering of folks you're going to see today. These are the best of the best in the country. This is a medal that goes all the way back to George Washington. You earn it for being killed or wounded in combat. These I'm bringing folks of mine who serve with me who are Purple Heart recipients over at the Office of the Secretary of Defense, maybe soon to be Secretary of War. We'll see. Stand by, because that's what we do. We close with and destroy the enemy. And these Purple Heart recipients are going to be celebrated, as they should be, as we ought across the country in every civic manner possible. You see, we're putting the spotlight exactly where it belongs and where it should be, on those who give up everything, are willing to, for the country. We're proud of it. We give them everything they need. We're restoring the warrior ethos. And I think that's what you see from this. And you know what? We didn't even talk about the recruiting numbers, Will. I mean, in the last 100 days, meaning of the 200, we've set historic records. And that's because courageous young Americans want to do what previous generations did of those recipients who got the Purple Heart. They want to do tough, gritty things to defend freedom. These men and women have done it. We're going to celebrate them today. President Trump loves them, and they love him. And it's a pretty cool thing that we're doing at the White House today.
Okay, so just 2 things for you. Clearly, if you're a Democrat and you hate President Trump, you're not going to recognize what happened today because you bought into the lie that he believes veterans are suckers and losers, even though there's no video footage, no audio tapes to corroborate that story, just somebody's hearsay opinion. All right. And point number 2, Pete Hegseth, make of him what you will. He's the right Secretary of Defense for this moment. And what I mean by that is the military needs to get back to basics, okay? Now, our next story, and this is still staying on President Trump because he was busy today. So in the Oval Office, Stephen Moore showed up. Okay, this is really great. And they produced numbers to prove that under President Trump, wage growth has gone up, job numbers have gone up, and they provided their own graphs. This is just great. Take a look at this.
And so I called the president because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before. And I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not.
It might not have been an error. That's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
Okay. So 1.5 million jobs overestimated.
I don't know how you get it wrong by 1.8 million. Now, some people may argue this individual did not deserve to be fired. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter about what this individual deserves. She was a federal employee, and the president has the authority to fire anyone in the executive branch. That's already been proven. But what's more important is not necessarily what she deserved. What's more important, the American people deserve to hear numbers that are accurate. Now, in this next clip, we're talking about median household income. And you guessed it, it's up since President Trump came into office. Take a look.
We have access to the some data that no one else does on what has happened month by month with median household income. This is based on unpublished Census Bureau data. It will be released sometime in the next 6 months, but we get an advanced look at it. And so I was telling the president in his first 5 months in office, starting in January through the end of June, the average median household income adjusted for inflation for the average family in America is already up $1,174. That's
an incredible number.
Yeah.
Just came out.
Just came out. So that's a giant gain.
And if I would have said this, nobody would have believed it. There's your number.
Okay, this.
I got to jump in here. Donald Trump is the president of the United States, and he's assisting this other guy in his presentation. He's grabbing the billboards or the poster boards and placing them over on the table. Okay? You think he would be sitting in a chair watching this, but no, he's up there. He's involved in it. He wants people to know this. And, he has to do this. Otherwise, this information will not get out. The mainstream media will not report good stuff on Donald Trump for the most part. Once in a while, they'll slip something in. But 90% of the information that they provide around Donald Trump is negative. Isn't that amazing? I wonder why that is.
This is exactly what President Trump promised. But I want to give you guys the full picture here, starting with this fact. There's a lot of people in this country, they don't have an affordability crisis, okay? They're not complaining about the cost of things. Who are these people? I don't know. Let's think of the researcher or engineer who's in AI that just received an offer from Meta in the ballpark of $1.5 billion over the next 6 years. Yes, that was a legitimate offer. There was another offer that was made, $250 million. Okay, so people in the tech area, they're doing just fine, okay? Now, even if you take a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, standard, okay, the only thing these people are complaining about is the price of their student loans because the interest rate has gone up. It's crazy. I think I saw one yesterday that was at 14%, which means the interest is more than what they borrowed. And then this brings us to the people that I believe we really should be paying attention to. And it's the people with an average income. They work 9 to 5, 40 hours at a minimum, and they're barely making it by. Okay. The thing about this administration that President Trump still needs to deliver on is making the conditions just right so that their income can go up. Now, he's already taken step one of that, which is to make the tax cuts permanent. And that is a promise that he has kept. Now, speaking of promises he has kept, I want you guys to pay attention to this exchange between Frank Luntz and CNN. The panel just goes silent when he tells them the truth about what President Trump has done. Take a look.
If you voted for Donald Trump, this is exactly, almost to the letter, what you wanted. You didn't mind about the anger. You didn't mind conflict between the Republicans and the Democrats. What you wanted was to make a border safe and secure, which they've done. What you wanted were tax cuts, which he's done. What you wanted was cuts to spending, which he's done. Element after element, he delivered exactly what he said he was going to do. And that's why his own voters believe that this has been an incredibly successful presidency.
Yeah, and that's a given. We know that because we're comparing him to not only his first term, but even the Biden administration. And when you look at both situations, he's done far more than he did in his first term and what Biden did in 4 years, just in 200 days. So I believe that to be true. Now, obviously, if you're on the opposite side of things, you're saying this is the worst president in history. The problem is the facts are not on your side. You can't make that statement and forget about what Joe Biden did and think you're going to have credibility on that statement. You just won't. Okay, that is the reality. All right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and move on, but I'm like 10 minutes into this 20-minute video. I'm halfway through the description. In the description box is the link to this video. Let me scroll down here and show you it does come from Devory Darkins. I'm subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here, and I'll show you right here, Devory Darkins. Trump drops explosive report, leaves media stunned. Yeah, because they can't handle the truth. All right. Let's see here. Black conservative perspective. I kind of skipped over this. Ghetto Democrat lashes out crying racism over angry black staffers stabbing her in the back. Huh. I wonder who he could be talking about. Let's take a look and find out. Let me back it up here to the beginning.
Texas is also getting, Democrats in Texas are getting a little bit of attention because of their rising Democrat star, Jasmine Crockett. Turns out she may be a toxic boss, according to the New York Post. Here's the headline. Trump critic Rep. Jasmine Crockett is a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers. Aides say, all diva, no wow. Inside, you see a quote, former aide to Crockett, saying that they don't like their boss. She is lying around her apartment, won't come into the office, and is just really indifferent to staff and will scream at them. She is never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her BS that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things.
I mean, who's surprised? I mean, this is my favorite Congresswoman. I enjoy her because I think if you promote someone like this, then you can just kiss the national election goodbye. And honestly, I don't think this was like a secret. She kind of does act this way publicly as well, but she's getting the Amy Klobuchar treatment. Abuses the staff. Kamala Harris, with her behind the scenes, abuses her staff, doesn't really do the work, trying to look for viral moments, and she's really not effective as well. What piece of legislation can you say she has been successful on? What piece of legislation has she changed the country on?
Well, unfortunately, fame is a very powerful drug, and clearly it has gotten to her head. I interviewed Congressman Chairman James Comer, and I asked him about her because she's on the Oversight Committee. And he said when she first came to Congress, totally different person than she is today. It's like night and day. And then we saw that in do you remember the Atlantic profile piece? Mm-hmm. She said she was shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions like you have the authority to do so. Because the Atlantic reporter had the audacity to ask other Democrats about her. And then apparently her lock screen is like a photo of herself.
The Escalade. She asked the staff to use the Escalade. They have to rent an Escalade to come pick her up. Now, normally, the members let their interns as well as their schedulers just use their personal car and they can come pick her up. But she requires them to go rent the Escalade just to drive, and they have to be waiting outside of the Escalade with the door open.
Boy. So we got to follow up on our coverage of the Ghetto Democrat superstar Jasmine Crockett, who is now getting exposed. Okay, she's getting exposed because people are now starting to ask questions about how Democrats and her staffers feel about her. Okay, because she is trying to position herself as a superstar, as a leader within the Democrat Party. But it seems as if Democrats don't actually really F with Jasmine Crockett like that behind closed doors. First, she came in last place. Black Democrats refused to vote for her to become a leader within the Democrat Party on the Oversight Committee.
I went through the first leg of this race today, and there have been recent questions about something that just wasn't true, because I'm always loud and proud about everything that I have to say. But it did cause me some issues for sure. So I placed last in the recommendation from Steering Policy. And so with that, I am not going to caucus for a vote tomorrow. And, those that have decided that they want to stay in the race to pursue the position, I am going to gracefully bow out because it just kind of is what it is, right? Like it just is what it is. And so
there was a profile that came out from the Atlantic that outlined how Jasmine Crockett was upset and freaking out over journalists questioning Democrats about Jasmine Crockett, right? Asking Democrats, her colleagues, how they feel about her. Apparently, she didn't like those questions being asked, okay? Even though, again, she's supposed to be a superstar, but she didn't want anybody asking other Democrats how they feel about her, okay? And then you had a bombshell piece from the New York Post that came out outlining that Jasmine Crockett's own staffers, people who have worked with her, do not like her at all, that she is a boss from hell, okay, that she's a terrible person to work for. She is selfish. She is one of these individuals that is just concerned about being a social media star. I mean, we're talking about allegations of forcing her staffers to go rent Escalades, presumably with campaign funds, right? So again, this is what people are donating to when they donate to somebody like Jasmine Crockett, to rent Escalades to drive her a few blocks from her apartment that she never leaves, by the way, right? She never goes into office. But when she does go into office, she has to take an Escalade, right? Where, you know, the staffers, you know, act like they're her servants, right? Where they get out of the car and they open the door for her to get into the Escalade and for her to, you know, get driven to the Capitol and to have the door open and for her to get out like she's some very important person, right? These are the allegations that came out against Jasmine Crockett that she really doesn't like.
Since with aggressive and offensive language, now that liberal Congresswoman, Ms. Crockett, is contending with a report that she's a terrible boss who terrorizes her own employees. Sources tell the New York Post that Crockett screams at her staff, is never in the office, freaks out over the most random things, is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, and has overall a toxic staff environment. On one occasion, she even reduced an aide to tears. One source summed it up as, quote, all diva, no wow. That's reportedly behind closed doors. This is in public.
All right, I'm going to pause this here for just a second. This is a Escalade, folks. It's like a $138,000 vehicle. Of course, she's renting it. I'm not sure what they have to rent it for. But yeah, it's a person in Congress, okay, that's paid by taxpayer dollars, has to be picked up in a Cadillac Escalade. Okay, now, this is the first time I've heard of this, you know, and Black Conservative Perspective just reported on this. But could you imagine? Maybe there are some Republicans that do this, but I haven't heard anything about this. I would think if it was the other way around and there were some Republicans doing this, that you would definitely have heard about it on the mainstream media. Just saying. Okay, thank you, LNC, for letting me know, because I could hear it through my headphones. I don't understand why you couldn't hear it, but I've refreshed it.
Right, and she fun
got, and you wonder why her approval rating's at like 9%.
Yeah. So my main takeaway when it comes to these allegations against the ghetto congresswoman is that she is nothing but a big, loudmouth, do nothing Democrat. That's what she is, right? That's what she is at this point. She goes on TV, she talks a whole lot of junk, she makes a whole lot of noise, but there's really nothing behind it, right? At the end of the day, after she gets off of television ranting about Trump, she goes to her apartment and gets on social media, right? And brags about how, she said something mean about Trump, right? That's what she does. That's it. That is what she does for her constituents, right? And she fundraises off of that. And hey, low key, she's kind of figured it out, right? She's figured out that her constituents apparently aren't smart enough to understand or to even care about the fact that she does not represent them at all. And she's totally fine with that, right? She's totally fine with just being a social media star, being a mouthpiece, an anti-Trump mouthpiece, and that's it. So with that being said, she is responding to these allegations, okay? And of course, we know the allegations are true because she's boohoo whining crying racism, right? She's claiming that these allegations are racist. And I have some issues with her claiming that it's racist because it doesn't really seem to match up with the makeup of her staff, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Congressman Crockett, you gained a lot of attention by being a rather fierce critic of the president. Some of your language in this interview suggests as much. Teddy Roosevelt told us to be in the arena means to be scrutinized and to be criticized. The New York Post has a story today that has a headline that reads, "No-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers," referring to you. Are you a no-show boss from hell who terrorizes staffers?
Oh my goodness. Listen, I know that I have arrived, honey. That is the way that I see this. Because as Beyonce says, if they're not talking about you, then obviously you must not be doing anything. You know what? This is just more slander, more nonsense, more lies. And honestly, I don't think that the New York Post would probably be the first ones to be able to figure out if I was a boss from hell. I just don't think so. I have happily served on the state level for, I did 2 years there, and now I am at year 2.5 on the federal level. And so 5.5 years in, all of a sudden, I'm this terrible person and terrible boss. Yeah, I don't think so. And ultimately, it wouldn't be the New York Post. Now, here's the reality. It is very difficult to work on the Hill, no matter who you are, whether you're a member, as you and I were joking before we got on camera about all of the scrutiny that comes with being not only woman, but being young and being a Black woman.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of scrutiny that comes my way, and it comes my way from all different angles. But when people start talking about you, that's when you know that you are obviously getting under their skin. So I am not going to give up. There's a song that I like to quote every once in a while. It says, "Your hate is my motivation." So keep hating. All it does is motivate me to continue to do what I do, which is to be loud and proud on behalf of the American people.
Texas.
Yeah. So basically, Jasmine Crockett is claiming that the criticism that she's getting is not because these allegations are true, right? It's not because the people that work for her think that she is a boss from hell, that she is a bad person to work for. No. It's because she's black. It's because she's a woman, right? Of course, she pulls the race card, the woman card, when facing this type of criticism. Now, again, my issue with this is that the people who are saying this are black. The people who are levying this criticism are black, right? Like from the New York Post article, another aide, a young black woman, was fired abruptly and confided to a colleague, quote, "I don't want to hear Jasmine Crockett talk about helping black women when she just fired one for no reason." Capitol Hill jobs often are filled based on personal connections, and openings are circulated among friend groups. A source told the Post that a job listing for Crockett's team recently was shared among a large group of black Democratic women, but nobody expressed interest in the gig. Quote, "You would think working for a black woman, if you are a young black woman or a young person of color, you would feel empowered in that space," said a former Democratic congressional aide. But truly, the only person that she thinks about and cares about is herself. The staff is really just an island unto itself because she doesn't care about the local issues happening in her district. This person added, she's more focused on, quote, "Get me on The View, get me on this late night talk show." Yeah. So, again, this is why I find these allegations that, well, these accusations, right? This story is coming from a place of racism and hate because she's black. Again, I find that to be fascinating because, again, you have black people specifically. They're the ones that are making allegations, right? The people who work for her, also LGBTQ people as well, too, are making allegations against her because she used the term butch to attack Marjorie Taylor Greene, and some of her gay staffers said, hey, like, this is making us uneasy. And apparently she told him to kick rocks when she was confronted about how she was using language that was triggering them, right? If you look at this post, also one of these social media posts that she put out here, right? Trying to be an influencer, social media star. Again, look at her staff. These are black women. These are black women. Now, I wonder if one of these black women, were they the ones that spoke to the New York Post and said that Jasmine Crockett is terrible to work for? But again, these are the people that are working for her, right? So you mean to tell me that the allegations these types of people are making are racist, right? They're making these allegations because you're a black woman? Is that what you're telling me?
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. Amazing. Yeah, I can understand why she would be considered a leader in the House of Representatives, okay? Leader of the Democrat Party. Yeah, that's it right there. All right. Let's click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. I am following the channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's get back here. And these 4 videos that I shared with you folks, the links to these videos are right here in the description box. Also a link to their channel if you want to scroll down and see what other information they have. Black Conservative Perspective is the producer of this video. The link to this channel is, you click on that and it's going to take you to, oh my goodness, Black Conservative Perspective. It's like magic. I'm telling you, it's like magic. Okay, that being said, I need to wrap this up. I am running a little bit late because I had to kind of reset things because of the audio. I don't understand. Like I said, I could hear it through my headphones, but for some reason it wasn't being broadcast out. So, I mean, if I'm not hearing it, I know there's a problem, but in this particular situation, I was hearing it. I just didn't realize it was not being broadcast out. So that's why I had to reset things for you. That seems to work. Used to, I would just close down the video if the audio wasn't coming through, but I figured out that, if I just do like a refresh on my screen for the Rumble Studio and go back and reset things, then that works. I don't know why it happens, but at least I can fix it now. Okay, coming over here to Murtech.com. These 4 videos are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com, and I shared these videos in my video. Like right here's the video from ACLJ Sekulow. Right down here is from Devory Darkins, Doug in Exile. Black Conservative Perspective is right here. But unfortunately, I don't have time to share all of them. I have over 55 of them here. This is your one-stop shop for no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Okay, then link to Murtech.com is in the description box below. It's a free site. I don't ask for your name. I don't ask for your email address. I don't drop cookies on your computer or have a bunch of ads popping up in your face. I'm doing this solely to get information out to people because you can't trust the lying legacy media, deep state swamp, okay? And that's why I'm doing this. But as I said, I didn't have time to share all of them with you, but I do have a daily news wrap up that I'm going to set up for you and get that going about 9:30. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee, a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, and come back here and meet me at 9:30, and we'll go through the daily news wrap up. Right now, I have 57 videos in my playlist. I'm going to go back and update that, get the video live stream set up, and get it started for you. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for your time. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless. But I do want to wrap it up with this.
Ready to level up your game? AIM Controllers is where custom meets unbeatable value, and right now, it's the best deal of the year.
We start with official Sony and Xbox controllers, fully compatible with console and PC, no functionality lost. Then you go wild with custom features, smart bumpers, paddles, grips, stick height, custom buttons, even design your own PS5 snap panels.
And here's the part no one else is doing. Lifetime warranty on all modified parts. That's right, lifetime. What other company does that? Exactly.
Normally, a fully loaded setup could run you $400, but during our one price promo, it's just $209 US or 182 euros, no matter how many features you add. Use code RUMBLE at checkout and lock it in. This is your sign.
Go to aimcontrollers.com and build the last controller you'll ever need.